Hi guys, we are here for lesson 2 of chapter D, and we're going to be looking at unit rates today. And if you remember from chapter 3, unit rates are when you take something to one of that. And then once you get it to one of something, then you can take it to anywhere from their unit rate. So for our first example for finding unit rate, it says a nutrition label shows that every 1/4 cup of tuna has a half gram of fat. How many grams of fat are there for every cup of tuna? All right, so what we are going to do here is we're going to take that ratio of 1/2 gram of fat for every 1/4 cup of tuna. And what we need to do is we need to take this 1/4 of a cup to its unit rate of 1. And we know that we can get to 1 by multiplying by the reciprocal. So we can times by 4 over 1. We cross cancel. This makes a 1. This makes a 1. And we are at our 1 cup of tuna. Now we're going to do the exact same thing to the other part of the ratio. We're going to times by 4 over 1 here. We're going to cross cancel. This becomes a 1 and this becomes a 2. And we end up with 2 over 1, which is 2. So we know that for every 2 grams of fat, that is 1 cup of tuna. All right, now for the second one, what they're going to have us do, we're still going to use that ratio of 1/2 grams of fat for every 1/4 cup of tuna. And if you'll notice, for this ratio that we used in the first one, we have our grams on top and our fat or our cups of tuna on the bottom. All right. Now we can flip-flop this, and instead, since we're trying to get the unit rate for the grams, we'll flip-flop it, and we've got 1/4 cup of tuna for every 1/2 gram of fat. So that then now we're going to take this to our unit rate. So we're going to times this by the reciprocal of 2 over 1. And we get this cross cancel, make this a 1. So now we are at 1 gram of fat. So now we're going to do the same thing with our 1/4, times it by 2 over 1. And we're going to cross cancel, make this a 2, and make this a 1. And then we end up with 1/2. So our new ratio is 1/2 gram of tuna, which goes right here, for every gram, 1 gram of fat. So we've taken both of those to their unit rate. All right, our next example, using a unit rate to solve a rate problem. A scientist estimates that a jet liquid iron in the Earth's core travels 9 feet every half hour. How far does the liquid iron travel in 1 day? All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to make myself a nice chart. And right here I'm going to have feet, and then here I'm going to have hours. And what they've given me so far is that 9 feet and a half an hour. But I know that I am going to take it to my unit of 1 hour before I take it to my 24 hours for 1 day. So we know, like we talked about in the last example, to get from 1/2 to 1, right here, I'm going to times it by its reciprocal of 2 over 1, and then that cross cancels, and that takes us to the 1. So if I do that with the half, I have to do that with the 9. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do 9 over 1 times 2 over 1. And that gives me 18. So in 1 hour, it's going to travel 18 feet. Now, to get from the 1 hour to the 24 hours, we're just going to times by 24. And so then I need to do the same thing with my 18. 13. And let me see. I want to make sure I have room, so let me erase this real quick here. All right. And so then I just need to do my 18 times my 24 hours. And 4 times 8 is 32. And then 4 times 1 plus 3 is 7. Cross that out, put down my 0, cross out this. 2 times 8 is 16. And 2 times 1 plus 1 is 3. And I'm going to add that up. I get 2, I get 13, and I get 4. So then I have 432 feet in 24 hours. So what I did is I just took my 9 feet and a half an hour, I took it to my unit of 1 hour, and then I took it up to my 24 hours for 1 day to get my final answer. If I look back here at the question, how far does the liquid iron travel in 1 day? I would get 432, and I'd label that feet. All right, here is our last example for today. It says you're hiking up a mountain trail at a rate of 1/4 mile every 10 minutes. You hike 5 miles every 2 hours on the way down the trail. How much farther do you hike in 3 hours on the way down than in 3 hours on the way up? Okay, so for this one, I'm actually going to make 2 different charts right here. This is going to be my up. And then I'll have my down. All right. And this is going to be my miles. Whoop, make that I there. And this is going to be my hours. It's not working out for me right here to write over top of this picture. I'll just put an H for hours. And over here, same thing, miles and hours. Okay, so on my way up, what they're telling me is that we go 1/4 of a mile every 10 minutes. But this is in hours, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, 10 minutes out of 60 minutes. If I simplify this fraction of 10/60ths by dividing by 10, I end up, that's 1/6 of an hour. And then on my way down, they tell me that we go 5 miles every 2 hours. What I am going to do, I'm going to, for both of these, I'm going to take it to 1 hour. 1 hour. And then I'm going to take them both to 3 hours because they want us to compare at 3 hours. All right, so if I need to do 1/6 of an hour to 1 hour, like we've talked about, I'm just going to go ahead and multiply here by its reciprocal of 6/1, which means that then I need to do, over here, I need to do the 1/4 times 6/1. So if I take 1/4 times 6/1 and I cross cancel out, make this a 2, and I make this a 3, I end up with 3/2. So I'm going to put that in here, 3/2 for 1 hour. And I'm going to do the same exact thing over on this side. I'm going to take it down to the unit rate of 1. But over here, I'm going to need to divide by 2, which means I need to take 5 divided by 2. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep it in fraction form. Since my up is fraction form, I'm going to keep my down in fraction form as well. There we go. Now, to get from 1 hour to 3 hours, I'm going to times by 3. So I already have my 3/2 right here that we had, and I'm going to times that by 3/1, and I end up with 9 halves. So I'm going to put that over here, 9 halves. Same thing here, I'm going to times by 3. So I'm going to take my 5 halves right here, and I'm going to times this by 3/1. Just about out of room right here, and I end up with 15 halves. So I'm going to put that over here, 15 halves. All right, so now if I go back to that question, it says, how much farther, I'm looking at this question right here, how much farther do you hike in 3 hours on the way down than in 3 hours on the way up? All right, so I need to find the difference between this 15 halves and this 9 halves. Ooh, look, I already have a common denominator when finding the difference. I'm going to make some room right here so that I can go ahead and show. All right, this 15, oops, go back to a pen. 15 halves minus your 2 halves. Common denominator being 2, and 15 minus 9 is 6. And then 6 over 2, let me get rid of this right here so I've got room to show my answer, equals 3. So if I look at my question, how much farther do you hike in 3 hours on the way down than on the way up? It's 3 miles would be our final answer there. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to head on over to your Big Ideas online textbook, and you're going to do some D2 practice. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, and have a great day.